was so excited. Ooh, here we go. Here we go, satellite radio.
Sorry, that was cringe. Hello and welcome back to the show, Respectfully Inspired with Auzi Films. Today I'm here with 7-Eleven, first place, $2 million private island loser.
Come on, Jimmy already ripped the deed up in my face. He just had to rub that sea salt water right into the wound.
Hey, you were my pick though. I was disappointed by you losing too.
Oh man, I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, it's official. I lost Mr. Beast $2 million private island.
So
shame.
Let's just start there, bro.
Yeah.
Start with your thoughts. How did it feel? I mean, you must have been devastated, or what's up?
So I had a feeling that it was gonna go down that way, because let's see, I don't know how far back to rewind it, but like when I made it to the top two, it was I wouldn't have wanted to go into the top two with anyone else on that island other than Mia, because I handed her the golden ticket on that helicopter, so she wouldn't have made it on the island without me balancing that ball for almost 30 minutes. So I said that it didn't look like it in the edit, but I said that I was going to compete for the island before she was offered that question. So I was already sitting up there. So when she was thinking about it, she knew that the person that just gave her the golden ticket, if she says yes, she will now be competing against me. Yeah. And she said yes. She stepped forward on the island and then went right up to me and was like, "Brennan, is this okay? I'm sorry. Like, I know, like, you gave me the ticket and everything, but I feel like this is, meant for me and everything." And I'm like, "It is totally okay. There is no, like, bad blood or anything between us. Let's just give it our all and, like, have fun with this." And she's like, "Okay, good." And then, so we kind of had that moment, but not any kind of, like, alliance or anything, because, like, even on the helicopter, like, I met her, like, in that moment, for the very first time in that game. So we were pretty much strangers. We still were kind of strangers on the island because I didn't do a lot of socializing on the island. But when it got to the moment where I had her fate in my hands for the helicopter game, and then she had my fate in her hands with the golden coconut, and then she returned that favor by giving me the golden coconut of immunity, it worked out great because I didn't feel like I needed to go after someone, because the entire time I was playing Beast games, I wanted to play fair. I wanted to just have good character, and I didn't want to be deceitful. If I were to win any money, I didn't want to do it by eliminating anyone, which is why I really, really, really wanted that treasure chest that Esteban took, because I wouldn't have had to eliminate anyone. Yeah. I would have been the easiest, like, I'm done gambling. I'm taking that and I'm gone. But no, he deserved it. He told me what he was going to use it for, and it's a lot of good reasons. So he's definitely very well deserving of that. And everything happens for a reason. I think it's God's plan, because I had a moment with Mia where right before we went into the final game, and we realized, wow, clean slate. Like now we get to go into this. We each went into our cabanas for like 15 minutes or so while they were setting up the final game, and I was just praying the entire 15 minutes. Like, how could you not in a moment like that? Yeah. And I was just praying to God that, thanking him that I made it as far as I did. I could not believe that my chances of winning $1.8 million was a 50-50 when it started with a 1 out of 1,000. With the YouTube video, it started with a 1 out of 2,000 chance at winning, money like that. So I was just grateful and felt very blessed in that moment. And I was just thinking about my family and the reason of why I'm here, and how I want to, like, give this back to my family, because they didn't show this on the on the show, because I didn't win the island. So, but I did want to use the money to retire my parents, but more importantly, it was because my dad had lost his job uh, shortly before I joined Beast Games. Um, and unfortunately, that situation has not gotten better, but um, I just was thinking about how much this opportunity would mean for my family because I'm very blessed to have, you know, um, to be in a comfortable situation and a good paying job and everything. But yeah, my family definitely I feel like could have used that financial security in these stressful moments. So I was just thinking about them. But then as I was praying, I was also thinking about Mia and like how, you know, I'm not the main character here
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I just was like praying that like whatever is going to happen is the way it's meant to happen. And there's just a word that kept popping in my mind to choose the right. I kind of like to follow that phrase with a lot of situations in my life, spiritually and such. And in this moment, I just felt like the entire show, I've been trying to show good character and choosing the right, not, screwing people over and stealing bribes to eliminate people and things like that. I was trying to make friends. So I was like, you know what, I got this far, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. And that's what I said in that moment is that I'm gonna choose the right. I'm gonna choose my right, which is the briefcase on the right. And in that moment, I felt like I needed to ask a question because Mia in the last game asked both Harrison and I what we would do with the money. And we both had those like emotional moments to share that with her. But at this point, no one has asked her what she would do if she won the island. And I needed to know because if whether or not I won or lost, I needed to know that it was the right decision at the end of the day. And so I asked her, what would you do with the money? And I felt like her answer was very genuine, personally. And I think I said in the show, I thought that I was really touched by what she said. I almost was like, I kind of want to tell you which is the deed to my island. Like that was incredible. But at the end of the day, I have to remember there's other people counting on me in this moment. So I was like, I think we're both deserving of this. So we just got to leave it to fate. And unlike of how it looks, a lot of people think I never shuffled my briefcases like she did. I definitely did. They just didn't show it because Beast Games is all about fairness. Like, when the ball drop happened in the towers and one of the guards missed something, we sat there for like 4 hours while they looked at every footage from every camera angle, took out every SD card, and went by the millisecond of everything to make sure everything was fair and decisions were fair. And yeah, so I'm glad things were fair. I definitely don't want things to be unfair. So they turned the cameras off and they said to make it fair, so that way the camera people also don't even know which briefcase has the deed in, because who knows? I could be looking over at a camera person and they could be like, pick number 2, and like that would have been cheating. So they didn't want that to happen. So we went on, both me and Mia, after putting our deeds into the briefcases, we took both our briefcases and went to opposite sides of the island, pretty much alone, and we shuffled them as many times as we want. Then we came back. I placed mine on the table. She happened to place hers on the table and then continued to shuffle it. So a lot of people online are saying like, oh, why didn't 7-Eleven shuffle his briefcase? I definitely did. They just didn't show it, but they're trying to be fair with the rules and everything, which I'm happy they were about. Yeah. But yeah, as soon as she ended up choosing my briefcase, I didn't know which briefcase I chose, but I knew which one she chose. And as soon as she said, I want the briefcase on, I forgot which side it was, but I knew she picked the briefcase that had my deed to the island in it. And boy, was that just a pit in my stomach just fell and dropped when she took that, because I went, she's either won or I also took her deed to the island and we're about to go again. But then as soon as we swapped, and she said she was feeling a sense of peace, I knew that I had picked her ex, which meant I had a bad feeling about this. But I am definitely glad I asked my question what she would do with the $1.8 million, because if I hadn't, and I had not known her story or anything like that, and not had connected to her on that level, losing in that moment would have stung a lot, and I probably would have had feelings of anger. But I didn't have feelings of anger in this moment. When I lost, I definitely was sad. Who wouldn't be? But I just saw in that moment that, you know what? This was her moment. My moment will come later. And this was the way it was meant to happen. Because I don't know about her, but I had a feeling that an opportunity like this to be on Beast Games, literally the world's biggest game show, for someone like Mia, I feel like this was a one and done situation. She was not enjoying the games. They were stressful. Like even in episode 5, I was as twisted and evil as these games were, I was getting so giddy and excited, like, oh my gosh, this is so twisted and fun. And Jimmy was like, hey, I agree with you. And he fist bumped me. He's like, finally, someone appreciates our games. Like, I love these kind of things. But then Mia was like, I don't. She was like that the whole time. She was not really, she wanted to win and get out. And you want to do whatever it took to win. So I knew that if she had lost and I won, that probably would have been it for her. This would have been a story for her to tell, and that would have been it. But that didn't happen, and instead she won. She got her story. She got her ending. But I feel like my story is just beginning, because a big reason why I decided to step forward on the island was not just because I needed to use the bathroom in that moment. The big reason why I stepped forward also wasn't just because I like my odds better with a 1 out of 10 chance. Ended up being 1 out of 9. The main reason why I stepped forward was because I love YouTube. I grew up on YouTube. YouTube is my TV, and I love creating content. I work for YouTubers for a living, and being in the city with Mr. Beast with 500 people, literally hundreds of people, when he's in, everyone's like, Jimmy, hi, and he's like, hello. He's not remembering people. So it's almost impossible to actually like have a moment to talk with him and pick his brain and just like learn from him. So I was like, wait a minute, if I step forward on this island, I'm gonna be one of 9 people living on an island with Mr. Beast, his crew, and all the writers and producers of the show that make these videos that get seen by hundreds and millions of people. I'm like, this is a golden opportunity for me just to learn and like network and just like grow relationships. And like, that's exactly what I did. That's why I wasn't very social on the island. Literally, while everyone was like forming alliances, like Esteban and Harrison were forming alliances and other people were doing their thing on the island, I was playing ping pong with Carl and Chandler and Mac the entire time. And we had so much fun. And those guys are so fun. Like, I created friendships, out of this. And I did get an opportunity to have those intimate conversations with Jimmy, where it was just us talking about YouTube and talking about all these things. And like, oh my gosh, Jimmy's remembering me. Like, he's gonna remember me. Like it got to a point where I'm now not just a number. I'm not just 7-Eleven to these guys. I'm Brennan. So that's something that like was in my control, because winning money, that was never a guarantee, but doing something like this, that was something that I knew I could leave if I get eliminated and leave with nothing. So that's exactly what I did. So when and I don't, the episode hasn't come out yet at the time of us recording this, so I don't know if it will make it. I also don't know if it will make this podcast. Auzi might cut it, but when I lost and Jimmy walked up to me and tore up the deed in my face, I could tell he really liked my presence on the show and me being on the island, and I'm just a very like reactive person, so I react a lot. And he liked that because everyone else on the island was very reserved and kept their emotions to themselves while I just let it out. And he likes that. Yeah. So, and he knows how to bring it out of me too. So he'll do little things to like kind of sweat me out and put me in stressful situations a little bit more than the other players, just because he knows like I'll react well, which I respect it. I love it. I'm here for the content. But yeah, so he came up to me on camera right when I lost, and I saw him walk out every person that got eliminated on the island, and it's always the same thing. Sorry it didn't work out. Thanks for coming out. Better luck next time. And then he got to me when I lost, and instead of saying those things, he looked into the camera and he said, guys, if you want 7-Eleven to come back, comment down below. Right. I'm pretty sure he thought we were filming a YouTube video at that point because you can't really comment. You can't really comment on Amazon here. Prime.
Drive the engagement up on this podcast.
Hashtag bring back 7-Eleven,
Bring
please.
back 7-Eleven, please.
I'm not wearing my jersey right now because I forgot it at home, but I promise you, bring back 7-Eleven. But that felt like I won in that moment. I was like, wow, I can tell. We had a lot of fun making this episode, and I was saying goodbye to Chandler and Carl and Nolan, all of them, and Mac, and I was like, this was an incredible opportunity. You guys are amazing people. You guys are so fun to hang out with. It was so nice meeting you, and they all were like, we're gonna see you again. Yeah. And we'll see what happens with that. You know, it really at the end of the day is up to the fans of the show if they want to see me come back or not. But the fact that even just them saying that meant the world to me, and it maybe means that maybe, you know, like Mia's journey is over right now. My journey, it's hopefully just beginning, so that's kind of my story.
That was I'm glad you went into detail and told everything. A couple things come to mind, things that I've repeated a few times, but just because you lose in the game doesn't mean you lost in life. Like it's like it's so dimensional. I love like your gratitude, and I personally loved how much you. In that final episode, how much you were just saying, like, I don't want to lie to you. And I don't want you to lie to me. And I want to leave it up to chance, because that's what I would have done too. And I think that was very, very respectful of you.
When I told, like, my bosses that I was interested in doing this, they were like, how long are you going to have to be gone for? And I'm like, up to, like, a month and a half, maybe. And they were like, and it started with 2,000 people with the YouTube video. Yeah. So they're like, okay, you have a 1 out of 2,000 chance. We're all YouTubers. We all were like, they're probably going to eliminate like 1,000 people in like the first episode, which is exactly what they did. Yeah. So they're just like, so you have a 50% chance to continue going on and things like that. So they were like, you'll probably be back on Friday. You can go. Yeah. and then I was just gone because they thought I was going to be back, because the odds are I would be. Yeah. But then I was just week after week, I still wasn't back, and they were just like, "Oh, Brennan must be making it really far," which I did, but unfortunately,
when you make it so far, there's like a point where it mentally switches in your mind, because when you go into the game, I had confidence. I think you're a confident person. And there's like challenges I'm definitely confident on, like running for flags. I'm a young male. But
that potato sack race.
Potato salad.
Oh man,
That
killed it.
but
Absolutely killed it.
how was integrating back into normal life for you?
Oh gosh, that was rough because how does one process the fact that you were a 50-50 chance decision away from coming home with $1.8 million, and instead you're coming home with nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is exactly what happened. I got on that red elimination boat. I circled around that yacht, saw all you amazing people.
Yeah.
I said goodbye one last time, and I was grateful for the experience, and I was proud of how far I got, and proud of what I was able to do. And then they took me to the island of losers, basically, which was where all the eliminated players were
The
at.
eliminators.
And also some of the Beast crew was there as well, and that's when I ran into Harrison and Esteban, because they had gotten eliminated that day. So they saw me show up, and they were like, "Oh, Brennan, that was you. You got eliminated." And this is something very interesting. They all were like, "We had a feeling Mia was gonna win," and I'm like, "How?" And they said, and I'm pretty sure I can talk about this because they showed it in the episode. In episode 5, we got on that pirate ship, and we were supposed to shoot cannonballs onto boats that had like our numbers on it. And if we someone sinks your boat, you get eliminated. But then Esteban took the bribe and eliminated himself. So then we never shot the cannons. The real reason was because weather was picking up, and it made it so that we couldn't play that game. And the weather was actually starting to sink the boats. And all the boats had all our numbers on it. And once we decided, okay, yeah, we can't, we're gonna have to go to a different game, all of the boats sunk except for Mia's. Hers was the only one that stood standing, and Harrison and Esteban took that as like that's a sign. It's a sign that she's gonna win the island. So we met up, and Harrison and I, we had a little back and forth going on. They didn't show a lot of it, but like Harrison told me during the vote out game that he thought I was gonna get the most amount of votes, and that was completely threw me off guard. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, who are you? First of all. And I was just like, did I do something? Like, why do I have a target on my back? And then he was trying to get me and Misha out. If Misha hadn't picked box number 2, he told me to my face that he was gonna try to get me out next. So and then as soon as Mac heard that, he comes right over and he's like, hold on. So Harrison is telling 7-Eleven that he's gonna go after you next game. And I could tell he was trying to like get me to be like angry at Harrison, but I was just like, hey, I'll take it as a compliment. May the best man win. And we shook hands, and yeah, that little rivalry bled into the board game where it was the 1-3-5. Whoever makes it to the end of the finish line wins. And we just started canceling each other out. I went 5 spaces, and Harrison knew that because of kind of the target that he was putting on me, he had a feeling that, you know, because I'm in the lead, if I make it to the end, I'm picking Mia. So it was in his best interest to cancel me out to let Mia go further. Wait. And hope Mia chooses him.
Is it just me? Because, like, from an audience and player, because I'm an audience and a player.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was a 1% chance Mia took him. Like, nothing.
So the reason I thought Mia was going to take him because, again, when I got onto the island, I was not playing a social game at all. I pretty much barely knew Mia. Yes, we had that moment where we bonded on the helicopter, but after that, it was almost kind of awkward between us because now we're competitors instead of teammates. So we kind of distance ourselves because of that. And because of that, I then was just playing ping pong with, Chandler and then the guys. While Mia and Harrison got really, really close on the island.
Really?
After the captain's game with the boxes, Harrison went through a lot in that game. And he felt very attacked by Mia in that game. So he reached out to her, and they literally talked on the beach for, it looked like hours. Just going into it. And they came out, I was looking at them, they were hugging, and I was like, oh, I guess they're good now. And it almost looked at sometimes they were in an alliance. When it was the treasure chest bribe, me and Esteban were looking at each other and we're like, are you going to take it? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take it. And then I looked at Mia and I'm like, Mia, are you going to take it? And she's like, no. I'm like, Harrison? And he's like, no. And they both were like, let the young kids, fight for it. We're going all the way. And so I definitely still felt because we were on that island for 5 days. As an audience, it goes by so fast, but we were there for days, bonding and everything. So I truly felt oof, I played too much ping pong with Carl. I'm probably going to get eliminated because Mia is probably going to choose her new friend now, which is Harrison. But maybe that was just me because it was a stressful moment.
No, that makes sense. I'd heard that story that they bonded off camera, but I'm glad she picked you because I think to pay you back, it was the right thing to do. But then also, this was shown in the edit too, is they had such an weird interaction in the box game. I wasn't expecting. But I guess hearing you explain that conversation makes a lot of sense. I should have stopped on this earlier, but bro, Esteban getting the treasure chest, that's I would call both of us a moral Beast Games player. The Esteban treasure chest is a moral Beast Game player's dream because you don't have to eliminate anyone.
Yep.
It's a stupid amount of money, but it's not so much where you're people are going to start treating you differently.
But here's the crazy thing is the $450,000, Mr. Beast's most popular YouTube video is his Squid Game video. And that's with the grand prize of $456,000. So this consolation prize is almost equal to his grand prize for his most popular video. So when you put it at that perspective, that's a winner right there.
Dude, to me, I even think I can't prove this, but I even think winning a 2 million or 5 million might put some unnecessary hate on your name. I bet if I won 2 million or 5 million that people would start treating me differently and looking at me, which is fine. That's a price. You're getting millions downloaded in your bank account. But 450 grand is at Esteban's age, my age, it's life-changing, but you're also probably not going to be treated differently. You're probably going to, it's the perfect amount of everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And you don't have to screw everyone over. Yep. It's the cherry on top.
And we didn't really need a fight for it at all. It was just hey, you picked the first box. Here you go. Which was even his intention. Yeah.
Well, let's go through some other favorite moments on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, just take me through some.
Oh, man. At the very, very beginning, that mic drop moment of him giving away $1 million in the very first challenge, that was such whoa, this is a different kind of game show that I'm on right now. I
remember when we were on the platforms, the last challenge in Vegas, and they were, we were all cheering to get people not to jump off, and I remember people started yelling. And at this point, there was so much speculation. You didn't know what was true or what was fake, but there was one thing that kept emerging from the crowds. And people were like, guys, this is just a YouTube video. In the contract, they legally have to give $10 million in the Amazon Prime show. And people kept spewing that. And there was so much speculation that I didn't know what was true or what was not true. But people kept saying, they legally have to give $10 million. And then we walk on to episode 1, and it's most game shows give $1 million at the
very end.
And he says that, and I was just wow, all the rumors were right.
It was crazy. But I knew that was an easy bribe to say no to in the moment. Yeah. Obviously, in hindsight, maybe I should have taken it. No. but no, because then I wouldn't have had the experience of a lifetime. But but I genuinely thought a lot more people were going to push that button. I thought it was going to be an auction and style where a bunch of people would have been pushing that button right at the end. But yeah, and then what was even crazier was like, I can say that, like, yeah, these are my favorite moments, is telling people these, like, basically two truth, one lie moments. So I had an opportunity to push a button and win $100,000.
Yeah.
I can say that. That is a true statement.
Yeah.
Another statement I can make is that, let's see, well, I'll go in a timeline wise. Another statement that I can make is I lost a private island.
Yeah.
I could say I won a private island, and that could be my lie in the two truths, one lie. Another moment was when 4 captains said no to $1 million.
Yeah.
I could not believe that was real life, that was happening.
That was insane. Yeah. I lost the captain vote on my team by 2 votes.
Really?
And I wanted to do it. I would have turned it down.
You would have turned down $1 million.
100% I would have turned it down. Because
I know you very well, and I trust you.
The thing is, like,
you.
I don't even think it would have been that hard for me, because the way I would have looked at it is just like, if I go up there and take $1 million with all the God stuff I've spewed, I would just be like mocking Christianity, and there's just nothing I would do to mock it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like one thing, like I wanted to go up there and quote Bible verses and do this like big Christian thing, but Harrison, it was one of those things kind of like the Mia moment, but not anything like it, because there wasn't $2 million attached to it.
Yeah.
But when he went up there, I didn't know who he was. I knew that Jeremy was solid. I knew that Dino was solid. I thought Tuana might take it. But I said, I don't even know who this guy is. I haven't said a word to him. All I've been told by my team is that he lives out of his car, and I'm nervous. Yeah. And
I was nervous for that team. I thought out of everyone, Harrison was going to take it.
Yeah.
I also was in the similar situation where I did not know Tuana at this moment.
But he didn't take it, and I remember he came down, and I can't remember, I think he was crying, and he said, like, no one's ever believed in me like this. Like, I've never gotten a moment where people, like, voted me and believed in me. And then he got out he was the only captain to get out the next episode.
Not only to get out, to self-eliminate himself. He is to my knowledge, the only captain to say no to $1 million, and then like voluntarily handcuff themselves and leave.
It's his character.
I can't. So believe that. I can't believe that.
I doubt his character, not from just from a I don't know him perspective, but he proved it to be $1.5 million, you know, and
absolutely.
But that was like a thing. It's like, I'm so glad that I didn't win, because I would have loved to get the glory, and like, but that moment was for him, and it's just like neat how God like organizes these moments for people.
Absolutely. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why did you say no to competing for the private island?
Dude, my parents were pissed I said no.
Really?
They were not happy.
Because I was surprised by that so many people saying no, because I thought more than 10 people were going to step forward on the island.
Bro, I actually haven't gotten to tell this story yet, so there's no way you could have known this was the reason.
I'm excited. I cannot wait.
But it's like a crazy story, and I will definitely tell it again in Courtney's podcast, but Courtney was 424 and I was 435, so we're in the same row on the same side in episode 1. And I met her, and I was praying with everyone. Like, I was kind of like doing the Jeremy thing, praying with everyone. But I remember we had started talking about God very deeply, me and Courtney, and then throughout the show I would talk to her more and more about God, and she just wanted to hear, and I love that was my goal, to go in there and spread the light of Jesus. And I was telling her about God, and when Jeremy didn't pick me on his helicopter, which I was fully expecting to be picked by Jeremy, because he was my first friend in Vegas. We had thrown the church service together, which for the context audience, see that we threw a church service in B City. We did Bible studies together, and I knew Jeremy was very, very popular, but I was just sure that I was one of his 6.
I thought that as well.
And the producers thought it too, because they had big cameras in my face, And before they even announced the challenge for Helicopter 3, I went up to the camera and I was like, I have a good feeling about this game. And I told people, not knowing what the game was, no announcement of the coins, no announcement of Jeremy. And then they announced the coin thing and people started chanting Jeremy's name. And I was like, dude, I already just told a camera that I feel good. And it's Jeremy and he won. And they put cameras in my face and then he didn't pick me. And I was shocked. And and I have nothing bad to say about Jeremy. Like, he was in such a hard situation and whatever God put on his heart. It's like one of those situations, the way I describe it to people is like, if God put those people on his heart, then I don't want to get mad at him unfairly. And if he didn't put those people on his heart and he just betrayed me, I don't need to take revenge.
Oh, absolutely. In that moment, I when I gave my coin to Jeremy, because I also thought, oh, I would be one of his 6. But then when I saw 100 people giving him his coin, I was like, oh, he can't take everyone. So I gave him his coin, and he said, he literally grabbed me and whispered to me, he said, you and Patrick are crazy if you don't think I'm taking you on this helicopter. And I told him in that moment, I said, dude, don't say that. Don't make promises you can't keep. Think about what this game is. Pray on it. And then he didn't pick me. So it backfired, but it still worked out, and it worked out the way it was meant to, because you also then still made another helicopter. Well, maybe he didn't pick you because God knew there was another seat on that helicopter for you.
Well, I was upset, but Nelly calmed me down. And he was like, there's always a plan from God. And this is why it's a crazy story, because we had been talking to Courtney and Dana the whole time about God, and he said, dude, I just feel like I should ask them if they want to get baptized on the island. And so the next morning we woke up, he asked them, and they're like, yeah, we want to get baptized. And so I said, God, if you want us to baptize these chicks, get us on the island. And they announced the 5th, 6th, and 7th helicopter game, and they didn't tell us what the game was. And I was the one who organized our team, and I took the luxury suite people, which was Nelly and Jamal. And then I took them not knowing what the game is. I said, I don't care, come with us. If we're going to the island, we get baptized. And then we won and we went to the island. And so, I mean, if there was a strong calling in my heart to compete for the island, I might have overridden that. But to me, it was already written, because I said I made a commitment to come here and baptize these girls. And the funny part is, I mean, it's a beautiful story if you believe in Jesus. I know there's probably some people who are like, oh my gosh, another Jeremy Jr. But I
love it.
But we got a whole crowd of people. They came to the baptism. They clapped. We did it.
You did a baptism on the island,
and we had people watching it. And it was Nelly baptized Dana, I baptized Courtney, and then here's the funniest part about it all, bro. It was after you guys did your little yachty box thing. And I came up out of the water, and I kid you not, we're talking to them about baptism and what it means. And we walked down the island, and right after, it's already crazy enough. These girls are getting baptized on a game show, on a private island in Panama. And we walk out, and we just run into Little Yachty. We weren't even looking for them. We just walked, and I was like, bro, you guys are going to have the craziest, baptism story of all time.
Wow.
And so...
Wow.
It was just not... And we ran into Chandler, too, and I was like, Chandler, guess what we just did? And he was like, what? And I was like, guess. And he's like, did you baptize them? And I was like... And we were like, yeah. And he's like, whoa, that's crazy. He's not crazy animated, but I could just see in his face, he was like... Yeah. And then he pulled out... Chandler pulled out a little notebook full of Bible verses that he writes, and he's like, turn it to a random one. I can't remember what it was, but I had a cool moment with him because of that.
That is such an incredible story. Yeah. I mean, I'm at a loss for words right now, because that. I've asked a few people that question of why you didn't step forward to go on the island, and that is probably one of the really, really good answers.
I mean, it's for sure a deep answer, but I want to ask you a question that's kind of related to this. I've been asking a few people on the podcast. If you could have $100,000,
which there was a moment where I could have,
but I know why you didn't do it there. You didn't do it because you didn't want to screw people over into your morals. But if you could have $100,000 without screwing anyone over, but your memories of the show were erased, would you do it or not do it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely. The experience that I had on the show was worth way more than $100,000.
I feel the same way.
Like, it's just so many experiences. I like, us talking about, God and everything. Like, I felt myself gain a much closer relationship to God through this. And I grew up, I grew up a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And since COVID hit, everyone quarantined, stopped going to church, and haven't really been actively going back to church since. But then with Beast Games and everything, like I grew my relationship with God not because I wanted money or anything like that. It was because I knew that this was an experience that is just a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I was just praying that I would be able to make the most out of this experience and get what I needed out of it. And like, I feel like I got a lot needed, just experience wise out of it, but I got a lot needed out of it. Just getting a close relationship to God with that. Like when Jeremy left on his helicopter, it was one of the most lowest moments, because you and I both were like, that there goes our chance. Like, there's two ways of getting in a helicopter: winning a game or getting picked. And for me, I had no one.
Yeah.
I was in a city full of strangers, and like, I mean, yeah, I went to bed that night in a very, very empty dorm. There was me and like two other people in the entire dorm, and I was so in low spirits, and I prayed, asking God, I'm upset and I'm angry that I am probably going to get eliminated tomorrow and I'm not on that helicopter, but I know there's a reason that I'm still here in this city tonight. Please tell me what that reason is. And like, how many guys do you think were in like those dorm rooms?
Well, it was 500 divided by 10, so it was 50 at first.
Okay, so 50 bunks. So I was in a room with 50 other guys. Now there's only 2 guys left.
Yeah.
And I had not talked to either of these 2 guys at all.
Yeah.
And one thing that I wish I had brought into Beast Games with me was like scriptures, Bible, or for my church, the Book of Mormon. And I would have loved any of those books just to be able to like read them and like find myself, like feel a closer connection to God. And literally everyone from my bunks were gone, and it was just me and one other guy next to each other, and he was reading a book. And I walked in after I prayed, asking, show me a reason of why I'm still here. And I went to this guy and I was just like, hey, what you reading? And he's like, oh, just this book called the Book of Mormon. And I'm just like, that's the book that I was trying to read and everything. And I was just like, can I please like borrow it for a moment? And he's like, absolutely. So I started reading it, because like I would borrow like everyone else's like scriptures and Bibles and everything, but like I never had an opportunity, because like he just went to bed. So I actually had an opportunity where like he let me just read scriptures through the whole night.
Yeah.
And that was the first opportunity I was able to have that whole night. And that brought so much calmness in my heart. And the verses that I was reading, talking about how a similar situation in my life where I felt like I kind of strayed off the wrong path. And I really wanted to start going back to church again and growing a closer relationship with God. And the scripture I was reading was talking about going back onto that straight and narrow path. And it spoke to me so much that I was like, oh, this literally, like, this is a game show. I came here to maybe win money, have an experience, but this was the last thing that I thought I was going to like have. And I felt so sad, so incredibly sad in that moment. I was so depressed that I was like, I'm for sure getting eliminated. And the guy that gave me his scriptures, his name's Blake. He told me, he opened up to me. I know we have to wrap it up soon, but he told me this incredibly tragic story about how we were talking, getting to know each other, and I'm like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I do a podcast." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you do a podcast about?" And he's like, "I do a podcast with my wife about losing a child."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can I ask why?" And he's like, "Yeah, I lost my daughter, and like not that long ago." And I'm like, "Whoa." I felt so like everything was just put into perspective, and like the immense low that I was feeling for not being picked on that helicopter, I could care less about in that moment, because people have extremely worse days than the bad day that I thought I was having in that moment. And after having that moment, that just like made me look at life in so differently. And I was like, at this point, I don't care if I get eliminated. I know I'm leaving with good experiences that are going to be life-changing for me. And I guess God had more of a plan for me. And he's like, okay, you had that experience, but now you need to have more of an experience on this island. And there's a reason you didn't win this island. I don't know what that reason is yet, but I have faith in God's plan, and whatever happens is the way it's meant to happen.
Yeah, wow, that was very deep. I wanted to say it was funny because after that challenge where we both kind of felt left out, that was actually how me and Brennan met, because he came up to me and he said, like, all my friends are eliminated or they're on the island. Can we be friends now? we were loosely We were both a part of an Avengers alliance, but it had like a lot of people in it, so we were kind of at different ends. Yeah, but that's how we became friends, and I'm so glad you walked up to me, because you're such a good guy, and you had opened up to me on the show that it brought you closer to God. I should specify, I'm not Mormon, so we're in different boats. Yeah. But it was beautiful because there was a lot of Mormons and there was a lot of Christians, and
absolutely,
we prayed together. We studied the Bible together. Obviously, I think we kind of definitely disagree on some points, but it was just beautiful to have people come together in love. And,
absolutely. Such an amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, I debated if I should drop my sad story, because I've said it on enough podcasts, but
we got dramatic lighting now. Now's the perfect time to say it.
Because of like what that guy said, dude, my brother died 7 days before Beast Game started. I know it's the only reason I'm saying it publicly is because it's on my Instagram. It's public knowledge. Oh my God. But when I went into the game, dude, I just I don't want to like change the whole mood of the conversation, but he died between Vegas and Toronto, and when I went in the game in Vegas, like I wanted to win, I wanted to like have the best experience, and when I went in Toronto, I just said like, God, I want my brother's death to become people's eternity in this game. Like I want people to know you forever because of this game, and I want people to feel loved and cherished. And so like the experience of Dana and Courtney giving their life to Jesus and getting baptized and believing in him, like it was all like, it felt like there was, a reason to be there. And it was so easy for me not to look at money and to pray and to talk to all these people on camera, off camera, on the island, you yourself, this podcast. And it's like, dude, B-Scans gave me something to live for, because like I didn't want to come back and create podcasts, but it's like God let me make it so far in the show that it was like now I had this golden opportunity, and my channel got monetized during the show because one podcast blew up. And yeah, I mean, it's all like, it's sad. I've had my sad days with it, but I just know sitting here that if you believe in Jesus, you have eternal life. And I know that my brother is spending eternity with Jesus. And so it's like, it's sadder for me than him. Not to end this on like such a heavy
No,
note.
that's so incredible. Thank you for sharing this story with me. Wow.
Yeah, there's no words, but go ahead and the people can probably find you by this point, but share your socials.
This was such an amazing conversation. Oh, I loved it. So you guys can find me on YouTube. Just type in Brennan711 and you'll find a bunch of Beast Games content and even content outside of Beast Games that if you like Beast Games, you'll definitely like this kind of content.
Yeah, his videos are incredible. They're doing great. He's doing some reactions.
Yep, I literally just filmed a video with a bunch of Beast King contestants where we recreated the island episode, and I gave away a very tiny private island because that's all I have to give away. But yeah, by the time this podcast is out, I'm sure that video will be out. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Brennan.
Amazing.
Let me come hug you.
Yes,
I always end on hugs.
Dude, thank you for sharing that story, man.
Yeah,
incredible.
Probably.